Hello everyone, so today we will be comparing two PC cases, and as you can see they are pretty much similar. And here on my left side is the Tecware Vxr, and on the right side is the Lian Li PC 11 Dynamic. So let's start by looking at the front panel with the Tecware Vxr. Nothing much to see here, but you can see the clip or the lock. And with the Lian Li, obviously there's a power button, the USB, audio jack, and the Type-C. And this side is like a brushed metal, which is nice. What I like about the Lian Li is cleaner compared to the Tecware. Probably this, in my opinion, if they designed the front like this one, there might be a tough comparison. But personally, if you ask me, of course, I prefer the Lian Li's front. Please do take note that Lian Li is, I think, almost 11 inches wide, while the Tecware Vxr is just 10. So now we are looking at the side panel. So as you can see, the Lian Li is longer, obviously, because this is 17.5 inches, while the VXR is 16 inches. So looking at the side, they are pretty much similar, except for this one again, for the lock of the VXR. And if you notice at the bottom part, the Lian Li, there's at least 1 inch above the ground. That will, in my opinion, is better as well because of the airflow, where the VXR is almost touching the ground. So airflow wise, Lian Li is better, and design wise, Lian Li is better in my opinion. So now we are looking at the back of the case, the Tecware Vxr Lian Li on the right side, and as you notice, it's pretty much same configuration except for the Lian Li. This one is removable, so you can put hard disk. The vent design, it's pretty much the same. So yeah, what do you think, guys? So here we are looking at the backside panel of the case. As you can see, there's an interesting difference between the vents. Of course, as you can see, Lian Li has more holes at the back, so more airflow. Wherein the Tecware Vxr, it's like shorter compared to this one, and this one is just for the PSU, while the Lian Li, it covers almost the whole length of the case. If you're into more airflow, so obviously Lian Li is a better choice. Now we are looking at the top portion of the case. So as you can see, so here we are looking at the top portion of the case. So the Lian Li decided that the buttons is on the front, while the VXR on the top. So on the top of the VXR, you will see the power button, 2 USB 3, 2 USB 2, and speaker mic, audio jacks, then the reset button, and the RGB. So some prefer the buttons on top, while some on the front. So it's up to you if this is a deciding factor for you. What's the real difference, in my opinion, is the decision VXR make that they put the magnetic filter on top. So as here you can see, so if we remove this one, so this is what it looks like. wherein the magnetic filter of the Lian Li is inside this vent. Here's the interesting thing. The design for this is that it's much easier to clean, just in case. Wherein the Lian Li, you have to remove the top portion and get the filter, right? So design-wise or purpose-wise, Vxr is better in that decision. But aesthetically, it's like an eyesore for me to see a filter on top of the case. For me, it's a matter of looks versus function. So if you use a water cooler on top of the case, we will be removing the filter. So this is what it looks like, a bare top for the Vxr. So obviously, radiator will be very much visible here. Where in Lian Li, it will tend to hide your radiator a little bit. In my opinion, the implementation or design of the Lian Li is much better. So just in case you don't want to use a radiator, then we will put a filter. On Lian Li, the filter is hidden. And again, on the Vxr, it's like, it's like you will see the filter on top, which in my opinion, in terms of looks, it's not good. But again, in terms of function, it's easy to clean, easy to remove. But the question is, how often do we clean the filter? If it's every day, then hands down with the design of the Tecware. But experience, I almost probably clean dust twice a year. In my metallic gear Neo Cube, until now I haven't cleaned it. And I built it last December. And I'm checking on the filter and I can't see any dust yet. So perhaps it depends on where you're at. I remember on our old house, the dust is very terrible. So it really depends. But anyway, I think Lian Li is better. Alright, so now we are in the process of removing the glass. So for the Tecware Vxr, obviously you have to unscrew all four at one panel. So if you will remove the glass for front and side, you have to unscrew 8 screws. Where in the Lian Li, you just have to unscrew the screws at the back, remove the top plate, and after removing it, just pull the glass upward. So it's pretty much easy. We're in for the Tecware Vxr. So again, on my review, I hope they designed it better. So here, I'm actually removing it. So it took some time in removing it. And you really have to be careful. What I noticed is the glass of the Lian Li is much heavier. Probably it's much bigger. But I assume it's much thicker. Just a little bit. So it feels more solid on the glass of this Lian Li case. So let's remove this. So as you can see guys, it's taking me some time, which it's really not an issue. But again, as a comparison, so I'm just comparing removing the glass of this Vxr compared to Lian Li. So in Lian Li, it's really much easy. Okay guys, here now we are looking at the inside of the case. And at first glance, they are pretty much the same. And probably I can say 80% they are. But attention to detail suggests, first, there's a 2 mount provided by Lian Li for SSD. And second is there's a rubber portion here wherein the Tecware Vxr doesn't have. So in terms of hiding cables, Lian Li will be better in that regard. So what I'm doing is I'm touching the metal part, and I can see that probably the Lian Li's metal is much thicker, but just a bit, really. I just realized that this is a good design, obviously, because when you put the cable here, it will be protected from the metal part, which is good. So unlike here, so if you put the cable, so the cable will touch the metal plate of your case. So not a big deal really, because the cable has a rubber protection. It's a bonus that knowing your cable will not touch the metal thing. One thing to consider and attention to details is the clearance of the motherboard to top of the case. So if you are planning to use water cooler, then that will be a very important factor. So you don't want to buy this case and later on you will discover that you cannot put an water cooler on top, right? And if you use a fan, again, on my reviews before, if you use this kind of case, I don't recommend using a air cooler, because clearance issue wise, you will have an issue because you cannot buy the top of the line air cooler unless you will just settle for the small ones, which in my opinion is a no-no if you are really serious with gaming, everything, or if you're planning to have a high-powered PC. So I won't recommend the air cooler. However, for just the basic office or casual games, smaller air cooler is fair enough. So back to the clearance. So I will be using the mount as a guide. Okay. So here we have a almost 4-inch clearance from top to the mount. For the VXR, it's just 3 inches. So that's a huge clearance factor for me. So I haven't tried to put an AIO here, but now I'm getting concerned right now. But anyway, I've seen a lot of people using this VXR putting an AIO with no problem. But again, it may really depends on the motherboard. Because I'm using the X570, wherein there a tall VRM heatsink on top of the motherboard. So if I'm gonna put a AIO here, I'm not sure if it will fit. So yeah, that's one thing to consider. And it's really now that I rediscovered it actually. When I reviewed this VXR before, I haven't thought of the clearance. But yeah. And one more thing is the GPU. So, but anyway, the GPUs prior 2020, no problem with here. But for the latest GPUs, I'm not sure because they are really big. I've seen the reviews. Especially the AMD XFX, it's really huge. So, yeah guys, so that's the only concern, in my opinion. Clearance here is 4-inch to 3 versus 3-inch. So, yeah. And regarding the mount, let's try to put it. So here is 6 inches. Then let's measure this one. It's only 5.5. Yeah, interesting. So again, clearance for this is 5.5, wherein for the Vxr or for the Lian Li it's 6 inches. So now it's really interesting. So here we are looking at the back side. So obviously Lian Li has a lot of going on here. So for the Vxr you can mount the SSD, no problem with that. And the cable is well organized here. So I won't be removing this one, just to give you a glimpse of how you hide the cables. Obviously, as you can see, it's pretty much good in my opinion versus this one. But again, you won't look at the back if there's a cover, right? So nothing really matters. But for some like me, I'm kinda, you know, I'm kinda OC in terms of the cabling. And what I notice is that the Lian Li's cable are much thicker. As you can see, they use thicker cables. Even the, yeah. Alright, so there you have it, guys. So overall, I think Lian Li is better. And of course, we have to consider the price. Lian Li is almost twice the price of Vxr. So if the difference that I mentioned on the video is important to you, then the Lian Li is no-brainer, better buy. However, if you're in a budget, Vxr, as you can see, is really almost similar with Lian Li. So what will you get here is probably 80%, 90% you will get on Vxr. My only concern is the clearance that I discovered a while ago. So you really have to check the tech spec sheet on their website if the components you will be installing or planning to install really fit here. And for this one, I don't see any issue as of now, really. So yeah, design wise, it's up to you. The looks, it's really it's up to you which is better. So yeah, if I will be building a PC right now, I will definitely consider this Lian Li and I will include it in my budget. And yeah, it's better, well built, well designed, as you can see. And as we all know, this is a premium case. It has the looks, everything. But if you're really in a tight budget, again, Vxr is nice. Nothing wrong with this case really. Anyway, these two cases are great. Any of them will do the job. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you on my next video.